Lip service, written and read by Brother Jerry Valenti. And the vision of all is become unto you as the words of a book that is sealed, which men deliver to one that is learned, saying, Read this, I pray thee. And he saith, I cannot, for it is sealed. And the book is delivered to him that is not learned, saying, Read this, I pray thee. And he saith, I am not learned. Isaiah 29, 11 and 12. In the Church of Jesus Christ, it is our understanding that the above prophecy of Isaiah refers to the coming forth of the Book of Mormon. Some of the words of the book were shown to a university professor, a learned man, who was unable to decipher them. An unlearned man, Joseph Smith, was incapable of reading the book himself, but was miraculously used by God to translate the contents of the book into the English language. Wherefore the Lord said, For as much as this people draw near me with their mouth, and with their lips do honor me, but have removed their heart far from me, and their fear toward me is taught by the precept of men, therefore, behold, I will proceed to do a marvelous work among this people, even a marvelous work and a wonder. Isaiah 29, 13 and 14. As the prophecy continues, it is stated that the coming forth of the Book of Mormon would be the beginning of a marvelous work performed by God to eventually restore the house of Israel. Such a restoration would be necessary due to the people giving only lip service to God, claiming to be servants of God, but with actions, such as rejecting Christ, indicating that their hearts had not been given to the Lord. Years later, Jesus references this prophecy when the Pharisees criticized his disciples for not washing their hands before they eat. Now, although most of us would agree that it's kind of gross to not wash your hands before you eat, the Pharisees were placing this at the level of breaking a commandment of God. Jesus points out that not only is this simply a tradition or a precept of men as mentioned in the prophecy, but he also calls out the Pharisees for being willing to break actual commandments of God when it's convenient for them to do so. The example he cites is the commandment to honor one's father and mother, which included setting aside a percentage of one's money for their care. The Pharisees supported the practice of someone declaring his money to be earmarked as a gift to the temple, called Corban, in which case it was no longer required to be used as support for his parents. The money didn't even have to actually be given to the temple. It was just a way to get around the law without having to admit that they didn't want to have to care for their parents, which had been the actual commandment and intention of God. Yet these people claimed to be servants of God. Jesus concludes by saying to the Pharisees, Ye hypocrites, well did Esaias, or Isaiah, prophesy of you, saying, This people draweth nigh unto me with their mouth, and honoureth me with their lips, but their heart is far from me. Matthew 15, 7 and 8. He is telling them that they are only giving lip service to God rather than giving their hearts to Him. Based on the above, it makes sense that Jesus taught in the Sermon on the Mount that except your righteousness shall exceed the righteousness of the scribes and Pharisees, ye shall in no case enter into the kingdom of heaven, following up with multiple examples of sinning in the heart, even when words or even outward actions may make someone appear to be serving God. The Lord is not looking for lip service. He wants us to give our hearts to Him as we promised at the water's edge. So let's do our best to rise above giving lip service to God. Sometimes it may be expressed as, don't just talk the talk but walk the walk, or don't just talk a good game. Regardless of which expression you prefer, let's make sure we have fully given our hearts to the Lord, such that our lives are devoted to living for Jesus and upholding His teachings. Oh, and by the way, if you're interested in being involved with the church's efforts to continue the marvelous work of restoring the house of Israel, beginning with the house of Joseph, we may have a work for you to do.